In that moment, before of any session of music, I stand, I breathe deep and exhaling. From this moment, I dissolve the identity of the I, the identity of Ruben, Mexican, human being, all that dissolve. Past, future, any history. I am in this point to be, and then from there I start to feel it, all my organs, my heart, my lungs, my stomach, my intestines, and fluid, and feel my bones and my breath. I start to feel every sensation in my trunk. I feel my tongue. I feel my breath. I feel how the sound expand, and then from there, I start to move and flow.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Psychedelic Conversations. Today, I have a returning guest. He is a brother of mine, and he's been a traveling medicine man, a facilitator, guide, a ritualistic musician, and all encompassing energy worker. Ruben, welcome. So good to have you back.
I'm super happy to be back and here are talking and sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here and creating this time. And last time we had a conversation, I think it must have been 3 years ago.
Mhm.
A lot has changed since then.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. Yes, a lot has been changing, and you've been traveling. And for our listeners, so we will add the first conversation in the comments as well. So for our listeners that just saw you for the first time, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your story, your background, where you come from, and then we can take it from there.
And I from the center Mexico. I born in Mexico City, and I grew up in a village around Mexico City. I start to feel a full attraction for the nature, and the nature take me to explore the art, and the art for me was a kind of open my possibilities of how explore this life, and go out of this kind of a structure of how we need to do into the community of I am living, and how my parents think of what we need to do. We need, in the idea of them, we need to mm, have a kind of age or can go to work, and then have a family, and then work, have sons and daughters, and how do a lot of people, no? But I was thinking of, for me now at the moment is not something of I really want, or working more is como think of work in some factory or work in construction, things like that. And then I learned to how work in construction. My father have a construction company, and I love construction. But the art was the way of I put there, and I start to feel my spirit in total freedom. And then from there, I start to learn how all these emotion of I start to feel it, and anxieties, insecurities, depression. Um, how I start to with the art, I start to develop my own being, and from there I start to transmute all that and explore. In the process of heal myself, other people start to feel it, attract for the method of I am doing for healing myself. And then some people start to be on this sit next to me and do whatever I was doing in that moment. And then for me was okay. And then was one person, two person, three, and then the group start to be more big. And then after that, I start to sharing with them more often, and from there, take me to feel the sound more, be more aware about the vibration, about the frequency of our round of us, of everything of its frequency, and then feel it. And my sense be that was a way to be all total amplifier, and in observing with my eye closed, listened beyond of what our audition, normal audition can hear, uh, listening a unification of the sound and feeling out of my body, and accepting everything how come in the life as accepting, and from that acceptation surrendering in this experience. And then was some moments of I was thinking of I can take to this in other kind of a level, if we can say like that. And then that time to have some deep experience in meditation through sound, and then that total change my vision of live the life, how interact with every person and the spaces. And then from there I start to share more direct with people, and create a method more. I start to observing how the sound function of me, how I am breathing, how I am moving, and replicate again and again and again. And then I start to create this method of is how we can use the vibration of our voice to unlock points of resonance in the body. And then it's something of I start to practice, uh, sharing direct with one person front to front in workshops in lockdown. And then after that I start to do more often, and then all these techniques start to always I continue exploring, and this technique start to be more short the way of I can explain, and more deep the experience. And then this is something of I continue exploring, and at the moment, and but all start in my childhood, to kind of to how understand and explore my feelings, and trying to make emotional regulation, and calm down with my breath, with my sound. But in that moment, that was like uh, something very intuitive. And in that moment, nobody was telling me or teaching me that. And then now for me, share this technique is a process of many years. If I can share in a workshop of 1 hour or 2 hours, and then it's many years of a lot of exploration in sound. Uh, and I am super happy of that is are helping more people, and they are putting in practice in the routine of day, because that helped me a lot from all my childhood and when I was teenager, and into my exploration of art, uh, and is what I use now into the when in the concerts of the session of music. All these techniques of sound is what I use for play music, and it's something of done is a kind of no, is no limit, not make me a limitation of my creativity. Is some keys of give me a point of infinite possibilities. And then my songs never are the same. never the same. Is change have always changing of the way the atmosphere is different. The people who I am sharing is different frequency. And then I am in constant evolution too. And then always is um
Always
and
changing, would you say? Like
yeah.
it's always evolving and changing, right? So, in case our listeners are not familiar, I think this is great what you shared, and thank you so much for that. What I wanted to say a little bit about, it's a ritualistic, it's kind of a ritual music that you are developing, and it's kind of intuitive mix of sounds and instruments, right? And it is never set, like every in the moment. And I heard you say it's never the same either. For example, if we ask you to perform something now and then ask you to do it again, you won't never be the same, because it's coming from the energy, the frequency, and in the moment of presence, in that present moment of what are you feeling, right? So that's kind of what I'm picking up.
Yeah. In this kind of process, in a state of meditation, in the sound start to okay, flow in different tones of different rhythms, and this rhythm these tones are taking me to have a altered state of consciousness, and then from there that stay in me, and then that guide me in the sessions of sound that I am doing to say, okay, when was this tone and this, or to take me to this have this journey, and then it's only some kind of a structure or some points, but from these points it's a
Yeah. So there is some structure, but it's not really
mm-hmm,
it's not like a song you would play the
yeah,
same every time
mm-hmm,
and say the same
yeah,
words. I
mm-hmm,
understand. Would you say it's like channeling? Because you're a very attuned person, like you're very sensitive to energies, right?
mm-hmm.
So, so we, for our listeners, in case they don't know our background, like we have collaborated in some workshops together, and I could observe that you're very attuned to energies and the mood of the people and the circle of the people that are there. And then it's almost like you know how to then pick up their energy and then bring your own, and then there is like you say, harmonizing of some sort in the session. Would you say that's almost like a channeling? Do you get insights? Do you get like something inside of you guides you to what instrument? Because you never know which instrument you pick up next, but it's also fascinating because there is a flow between them. There is never a gap. Like you don't stop and pause. Okay, let me pick up this one now, and then let me pick up this one now. There is this infinite sort of flow in that session. Yeah. So would you say there's some channeling going on beyond something we can understand? Do you feel that?
Yeah, well, no, in that moment, before I started any session of music, I stand, I breathe deep, and exhaling. From this moment, I dissolve the identity of the I, and then the identity of Ruben, Mexican, human being, all that dissolve, past, future, any history. I am in this point to be, and then from there I start to feel it in all what all my organs, my heart, my lungs, my stomach, my intestines, and fluid, and feel my bones and my breath, and then all this, I start to feel every sensation in my trunk. I feel my tongue. I feel my breath. I feel how the sound expand, and then from there, I start to move and flow. and then it's going to start to cover. Start, is the instruments there? And then it's something was like, wow, oh no, what? Oh, wow, what? And that for me, so releasing and super playful, in the same time so sacred. Another moment of my body is start to flow in pure energy, pure vibration, and into the ceremonies, pues is feel the sensation of every person of our front to me, and then and sometimes feeling even the emotions of they are feeling, physical sensations. Uh, the last time was to the next person, and then she want to vomit, and then I feel the same. I want to vomit together, but I was here with my shaker, and then I said, okay, what I can do, and then I only change the position of her body, boom, and then she can feel, she can breathe more properly. She want to take out saliva, pues ya, boom, and then me too. I feel the como que more comfortable. I say, wow. And then I am feeling a different emotion, a physical sensation of the persons, but it's important to don't attach all that. Don't attach and have and know of that is not mine, and because it's not mine, because here is not me, and then I am a here in like a tool of the universe for in service, for help.
Like a channel, like a
Mm,
vessel, like a pure channel to nothing sticks. It's just things flow through you.
mm,
And would you say, of course, you just said earlier, this is years and years of practice. I am sure there is also part of you that, as growing up, quite sensitive and quite attuned to energies and other people, I'm guessing, right? Because sometimes people can train and do lots of practice, but it's just very difficult for them to be attuned to the spaces, especially when there is a medicine involved. Like you said, a lot of the facilitators, they lose themselves, they get exhausted, they cannot separate the energy, when the participant is, let's say, purging or going through a difficult time. They find it very difficult to take themselves out of the, separate that from
mm,
what's going on, and they enmesh. We call this word. They get entangled with the all, and then it just the whole dynamic of the group changes. So what I wanted to say with that is, there is definitely something with you that, beyond the skill and practice, there is something very unique to you, that you are very much attuned to people's energies, and also you're very clear about your own boundaries. I think this is what I want to say. Like, your energetic boundary is very clean, but also very clear, so that that kind of helps, I guess, to separate and stay with someone's experience. I mean, you can imagine the medicine amplifying and magnifying this whole experience. This is very important, I guess. And there is also the childlike spirit you have. So would you say all of this attainable because you can be so present, and the story of Ruben just takes a back seat? Like, there is no story
mhm.
of Ruben. There is just you there as this channel. What would you say about that? If people are training to,
Yeah, because for that is important of remove that history, because and then all that feelings can be interfere with the process of the other person, and then is when we are here. I am here in this service for be company of the process of the person of I am sharing this and support, and then from here I can touch about the sadness of the anger of the person are screaming. I can be in panic. I need to be in that flow. Or sometimes of the people jump and try to punch yourself, and then for me it's be growing, receiving, embracing, being compassion, in gratitude, in love, and then it's going to happen some complicated moments, but in that I trust. And many times I am flowing, and I don't know from where is going to be my actions. Only I am a kind of a spectator of my own being. Only I am doing this in ways intuitive, observing, and be simple and try to not too much movements. Be there and try to be direct and clear.
Yes.
And then in that I am full trust in all the process. But into this way, how you are telling me about if our people of are practicing a lot of a long time, I observe. I start to have an observation of a kind of a particular condition of in me, and of I am taking before in my childhood. I was living a lot of depression, anxiety, anger, but don't was my depression and anxiety and my anger. But in that moment, I don't know. I don't know if it's coming from other place, and I don't know how manage with that. And then all that it was stacking on me, and then I start to feel lost my hair. I start to feel a lot of needles in all my body, uh, and be super angry. A child of 13 years old. What kind of stress or what anger can have a child of 13 years old? And and then after that, I start to learn how, because I start observing of my heart. Or if my heart are so fast, all this start to be more crazy. And then I start to control my heartbeat with my breath. But even many times I can breathe properly, but I need to have the power of or take the control of my body and come to my body to control and hold and release slow, and then in a way start to controlling my breath. And then when we start to have this control in our breath, everything start to be in a we start to have control in everything. And then that is for me is so super important. We start to be aware how we are breathing.
Yeah.
And then
Mm.
from the breath take me to explore different aspects of how I can control this. And then from there take me to only Mm, I feel my vibration in my chest. That start to make me relax. And then in this process, I start to observe how come all this frequency and traveling through my body and going like a bridge. And
It sounds like learning to regulate, like
Mhm,
self-regulate your system, like organically regulate, like
mhm.
naturally just by, I guess, switching the observer on. Like I like the word you use, spectator. Like you become the spectator of your own storm,
Yeah.
and then you learn to self-regulate. I think it's
Mhm,
very powerful indeed.
mhm. From there, I observe this. And then I say, okay, if with the time, I was only looking for when that happened. I look for a space for relax, breathe deep, and be there. And then sometimes the people think of I was be super peaceful. I sitting, breathing, meditating. But in that moment, I am having a kind of a crisis, emotional crisis, and everything happening in my body. A full chaos. But Before I was feeling all this chaos and be there and let go. In this same process, yeah, more years after, I start observing this chaos and feel it. I say, okay, so I think this chaos start to have all the sound and feelings. All start to if I am there with any kind of judgments, mm, judgments about the sadness, anger, about how I'm feeling, judgments of the reality, and then all this start to change. My perception of the reality
Yeah.
dissolve.
So you're saying like be with it, like do not run away. Don't
Mhm.
run away, don't run away, don't try to do something, fix it, figure out, just being with it.
What I observe into my personal experience was in this emotion. I start to feel it totally, with no judgments about for example, the sadness. Feel it, flying into this, but it's different. Fly, and you can relax and go far from there and go to other place. But if you really want to, because you are going to come back again to this point, if you are only view. But if how I describe, if I am flying, I transform myself in a acceptation of all this experience.
I love that. So you're observing and then you're noticing, drop the judgment. There is no judgment. And then just sort of that kind of helps you to alleviate everything, and you elevate it. But when you say you're always going to come back to that point, what does that mean?
Then let me know when if we are sad of anger, and then we try to be less anger or less sad for don't are in that emotion, and then we are kind of hiding really that emotion. Sadness, happiness is not a kind of a linear. Many times we try these aspects in a kind of linear way. I try to be for be no sadness. I need to be less sadness and go to the happiness. But for me, it's cycle, and then is doing this, and then for 10 really releasing the sadness, go for it, surrender in this experience. And another point of when you are releasing this sadness, your own sadness, and then you are this own spectator, on all the spectrum of the sadness. All that you are, all this is, you are objective.
Yes.
You are taking personal your own sadness. You are observing from where come, how is all this situation. Another moment of, you already are crying what you need to cry. You are blaming to anyone. You are a point of, you are accepting, and then from this total acceptation is
I love that. Yes.
crossing.
I love that. So accepting the sadness and the pain and the grief, trying to avoid the stories and the blaming and then creating all this other stuff, but just surrendering into it so that it dissolves. This is such like this is definitely the ground zero of somatic therapy that people are all trying to learn. This is the ground zero, and it's the most simplistic way of dealing with the human nature. The coming back to it all the time, I think what I heard is that these emotions are not linear, that you'll always come back cycling around to the same things again and again. It's about learning a way to observing them and not getting lost in the story of the sadness. I think this is very powerful, Ruben. I think this is what the main medicine, the reason that people come to medicine, the reason that people seek healing, because what you are explaining seems to be a very abstract difficult thing for a lot of people. It's
Mm.
almost like, yeah, it's almost like it's not natural, organic. And they can spend years and years and years in therapy and try to learn that.
And for me, can try to observing this was take me in this observation in the more complicated moments of in into my life. In these complicated moments is when I say, okay, Ruben, this is the moment to practice all what you know about be good, but be. And then I don't try to hide or with the situation. And then the first part for me was accept, and then from that acceptation, all start to coming in that harmonic way. And then is in this chaos. If all our sense are making a decodification of the reality, how chaos, and then if yeah we only sit or stand or lie down and we stop to decodificate all this how chaos be, all start to all
Yeah.
all these start to have harmony, total harmony. And in this I am having in a different experience of our like show me this for one of these experience of was super clear, was after a ceremony. And then I go to my bed, and then I I was there, and then we are going to wake up early for uh for have a sharing circle. Then when I go to my bed, I listen screams, hear screams, así pero scream, wow, yo, oh, and then I thinking and I start to observe around of me and just listen everything, and then I say, okay. And then when I close my eyes, I start to observe a lot of violence, pero very hardcore. And then I say, okay, Ruben, thinking something nice because I was thinking this is what I'm thinking. Oh, why I'm observing all this? And then okay, say, thinking something nice. And then I was thinking in my mother, and then I see my mother, and then somebody come and take the head of my mother and you, whoa, Ruben, don't think it's your mother. And then from this point I say, okay, okay, they said, Mira, I got now. I need to rest because I need to rest. When I got to be here, continue here, I'm going. And then I stopped to thinking these screams and all these situations that were happening around of me. And then I start to sleep. When in the process of before of sleep, when I be there, all the visuals of I having enough a lot of violence. All this start to dissolve and be like multicolors, and all the screens start to and then like I see three long lasers as you in these three lasers I observe triangles, and these triangles, big triangles, small triangles, and then all these start to spinning in different speed, and all these triangles have a particular sound. And then all these start to come in a lot of these triangles in these three lasers. And then this was a super amazing, beautiful concert. And then I was sleeping and was and the next day I awake and then wow, what the sounds, what it was so beautiful. But all was coming first from a moment of super chaos. And I was thinking, I say, well, if a person of is not ready for this situation, maybe this chaos can really damage the psyche of the person of are receiving this. But I don't know. Many times I'm thinking of when I think of nothing is a coincidence, and then different situations of my life and different ways of I am living this life are preparing me to can to can embrace these situations and receive and can transmute when after when I start to learn how say only send this frequency was a moment of when I say, okay, what I can do for can transmute this, because this sadness, this anger, all this situation is going to some point, and then is when I start to embrace it, and then I when I stop to judge all this anger of sadness or rancor and perversion, I receive on me. I feel in that compassion and forgiveness, love, gratitude, and then all these emotions start to be in one, in the pureness of be, beyond of darkness and light, beyond of evil and good, and was one tone, one frequency, one feeling, one emotion. It was the the sacred.
Yeah. Transcending experience of it all. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And I really like the way you said that if somebody is not ready for this kind of experience, it can damage the psyche and make them very uncomfortable. So you're in the midst of, like, in the center of healing, medicine, sound. And do you think that over time in the future, do you predict that it's going to get worse and people are going to be more depressed and people are going to be looking for more healing? And do you have any observations that maybe there are people out there like yourself who are being prepared to hold space now that, because at the moment, the way that I'm observing, we're going to have to walk away from the traditional way of healing.
Mm-hmm.
We need to let go and maybe lean into this type of healing where people are
Mm-hmm.
taught to be with it. And because, in my observations, I think most of the time we haven't, especially in the West. I'm going to ask about your opinion and your observations with the Western type of people. And, like, what are you seeing? What is their biggest challenge? Because you always, you're kind of, you're everywhere. You're in the medicine festivals, you get to meet people, and you're just everywhere, traveling in Europe and in UK and everywhere. And would you say that people in the West are a bit more complex and maybe they lack capacity to feel emotions?
Was all of the night. Maybe I don't know if it's for the in the old environment of I am traveling and working, and that take me to meet with people with this we are sharing this interest, common interest, and then for be good, for be well, and then but sometimes into the music of I play is very flexible to can share music in different kind of festivals or different or go to different gatherings, and then are some places where the people is not so conscious with are consuming a different kind of drugs and be very drunk and then when I'm sharing their music, it's something happened. Something happened in some people of are ready for this that move something in them or say, oh, I think I feel something or I want to be much better, and then for me, in this aspect, can travel and can connect with different environments, give me the possibility to can continue observing and how I can do my this work of I do in a way of every person can receive. And then all the workshops of what I practice is I start to make in a way of a person of don't not practicing before any kind of this kind of big wellness practices, how meditation, breath work, sound, and then how one person of the first time can receive and is not to be boring or no are you going to have some any result, and then from there it is sharing something of can be super como catchy fast and take and the person can have a experience, and then from the sound is very powerful and is something that one person can start to developing from the first practice that we do. From there, the give that possibilities of the person continue practicing. And for me, it's the community into Europe, UK, into the environment where I am moving, start to be very awakening and observing more and be more aware. But when I go out of all these kind of environments, I observe how a lot of people really don't having aware about what I am observing, what I am watching in TV, what I am listening, what I am putting into my body. Um, and I am not thinking only about food. I am thinking well, in drinks, in drugs, and all that things. And then that are a big part of the society of even don't care and don't think about it. And are some people of don't want to be good. Even are some people of don't want to know if if I want to talk about this situation. They say, "Yeah, I don't want to know. I already know this all this world is fucked up. I don't want to know. I am okay here in my box. I don't want to listen. I don't want to know. I want here be." And then are a lot of people like that. I know it's not only here; it's in Mexico too. In Mexico, we have a big problem of obesity and consumption of drugs and everything. And then for me, can go to Mexico and start to work with in my neighborhood, in my in my homeland, with my friends of when of my childhood and teenager, and all of them. We grew up in these barrios with a lot of drugs and alcohol and violence, and then work with them because they are observing my work. And then when I go back to my home, they come very open. I am super surprised, as you can say, and they start to tell me all the situation, and then they say, and then for me, it's very nice how my friends are really receiving my work of I am doing because um, for me it's very important to do that there. Do it with my family, with my friends, and start to observe that change is there. But the more important change of I can do is in myself, and then how I can give how I can say to the society, hey, how you can do better. Because here I start to be healthy, try to be eating properly, exercise my body, and be good. Because I can say to everybody, hey, do this, that, and then here I don't are doing, and then all this need to have my life need to have a congruence, and live there, and because we are reals. We don't have a kind of a screen in Instagram or Facebook on that. Only for I take my picture for my history. It's something. It's a real practice of every day, and we are every day we are uh, in surrender in the mystery of the unknown. And then it's in this of every day we have this work in us. It's not because today I am having a nice meditation and no mean of yeah I am enlightenment, I am a guru. Uh, pues, pues no, me in this moment I don't are in that state. I am in a very beautiful state of human being. I am living this experience of be human, be in this body. And I haven't experienced out of the body, but it's very nice. But it's even is our own consciousness. But I don't want to spend all my day in that way. I love it. I love it to be here. I love to travel, to can share with more people. Uh, in the moment, it's not my moment to be in a mountain far from people. I'm there. I will love it. It's something that is some of my dreams, but part of my life experience is travel and share and learn and live this beautiful experience, because there are many people there of are full of hate, full of rancor, and only for something I don't know. They if they have a kind of pleasure from this, and then say, okay, bueno, I am a person of I have a lot of love. I have a lot of kindness, and of course I have my moments. I have some moments of I can be sad or I can be angry, but I start to learn how manage with that, and how start to nourish my being to have a much better life experience. And then I continue into that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. And it's so good to hear you share your own personal experience. Also, I would like to say thank you to you about saying that, it's not just the Western people, because it's everywhere. You said, obesity and all of these struggles are also in your hometown and then everywhere you travel. And I like the way you highlighted that it's the circles that you're in where people are really trying to stay awake and become conscious. Doesn't matter where they are, in Europe, anywhere, people can be conscious and be kind and, enjoy, working and growing and doing all these work together. But it's almost like I did an interview, I remember a long time ago, and the facilitator said, I'm in a bubble of people who take medicine and they practice kindness and they practice consciousness. So I don't know anyone outside of my bubble, because I don't know those kind of people. I never meet them. And I thought that was really powerful. So it's good to be aware that sometimes, including myself, sometimes I lose myself in the reading and, trying to learn and become self-aware and everything. But the reality is there are also people out there who, like you said, don't want to know, not ready maybe, and they're not from this world. That is also the reality as well. So Ruben, thank you so much for everything, all the insights that you shared with us today. And before I let you go, we're coming to the end of our conversation. I'd like to ask, what's the future? What are your projects and where are you heading? And are you going to be staying in the UK, and where can they contact you?
Yeah, pues in what is coming, um, we are in the next week. We are having an event in London, the 21st, and then after that, I am going to Italy, and then Italy, I'm going to Alicante. The first week of October, the second week of October, Ibiza, and then after that, we spend 3 weeks in Berlin, and after that we are having a beautiful retreat in Poland. Is my first time in Poland, and then I am super excited for this. um, and then after that, I'm going to Manchester in November to the last 2 weeks to have some the last ceremonies there and make a gratitude ceremony there. And then after that, I'm going to Mexico in December 3rd. I am super excited for this because we start to work in Mexico to prepare a space to can receive more people there, a retreat center, and how from there we can go to hiking to the desert and go to the sea and create a full experience, the a human experience. Uh, and observing now all that many times we are giving too much responsibility to the master medicines, and we're and then it's important to we empower ourselves, and then we start to live this human experience, and we start to observe all these medicines of around of us, be in us, and go around observing, to have a walk and interact with the humans, and observing how amazing we are, and how we can collaborate for can have a much better humanity. And then from there we start to have a journey into Mexico, and I'm coming back to UK with my family, with my brothers and friends from Mexico, to can have more fun experience, and very beautiful experience here in UK and Europe. And then now I are some dates for the next year, but I'm thinking that I go to publish in my social media, in Instagram or Facebook is what I use more. And then if somebody can want to find me, we can find me like Origin, T Yon'ton, and then I am there, and then if somebody want to come to some workshops, in Bristol is we have something. We have a drum beard. We are making drums, having a sound journey is September 14 and September 15, and then it's some of the last things that we are doing. And then it's Bristol, London, and Wirral here the last events in UK. And I think that's everything.
Thank you so much. What we'll do is we'll add all these dates into the comments in the show notes, and then our listeners can connect with you. We'll have your Instagram and your social media contacts so they can find you. I'm super aware that you have a huge community in the UK because you also lead drum birthing workshops. So if our listeners don't know about this, so Ruben incorporates sound and drum making from scratch. You can go to his workshops and make your own drum from scratch. It's a kind of like a 12-hour journey with a lot of sound and a lot of ritual, and it's just it is for me, it's like as potent as any medicine that anyone can take. So
yeah, you're making 2 drums, no?
I did, yes. I have 2 of mine, so they are beautiful, and I still have them. And the second one was perfect, and I had to go and fix it, and so on. It's just so amazing. So I'd highly recommend to make your own drum. It is part of the activation of the medicine, like you said, Ruben. I think you're the first person said to me. I remember we're talking about plant medicines and psychedelics, and you said it's the other way around. You know, we are ingesting or taking medicine, or the sound, or whatever it is that ritual we are interacting with, it's really to activate our own medicine. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to see you very soon.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you. All the best. Much love to you.
Much love.
Much love. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Please do get in touch with me, Ruben, and follow him. And you can see some of his sound journeys on stages, and maybe attend one. And I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much. Bye for now.